Welcome back, everyone. We are glad you're here. We're glad to be here, especially me, because if you did watch last week's episode, I was dreading the race this weekend, and I actually think it massively outperformed my expectations, so we've got a lot to talk about. If you don't want to see our faces, go in the description box down below. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, probably the rest, but there'll be the 2 links in there. If you do want to follow us on social media, they'll be there as well. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, where all our best fans are. So make sure you click the like button, subscribe, comment, because we do engage with everyone that gets involved, and we're going to crack on now.
All right, guys, welcome along. Luke, how have you been?
Yeah, look, warm. Can you tell? Look, I'm tanned.
It is at the moment. We're in like a heat wave, aren't we? And I'm wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
However,
There's got to be something behind that.
I'm dedicated to the cause. I want to keep, you're wearing F1 merch.
This was honestly just by chance. I just picked it up and it happened to be Lando Norris stuff.
What are the chances?
Yeah,
what are the chances you're recording an F1 podcast? What are the chances, eh? So, before we get started, how's your week been?
I finally did the garden. So I finally have grass. I've had friends over.
How long have you lived here now?
Since January.
So it's only taken you 6 months to have grass.
I don't know if any of you have ever done any landscaping. But I had to level and turf my lawn, which wasn't left in the best condition. I'm not going to lie. I've got 40 sacks of rubble.
I mean, if it was 6 months, you would think that you have a massive lawn.
Oh yeah, no, it's not big. No, but I didn't want to do it when it was wet. So I was waiting for it to warm up, and then I was in Paris, New York, Glastonbury.
God, it's a hard life you live in.
So I didn't have time, and I did it all by myself. So yeah, I'm proud.
Whoa. Hang on.
Well, pretty much. I mean,
I helped quite a chunk of it, to be fair.
You helped turn half the lawn with me.
It still helped you, though.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But let's not take my credit here.
Okay, fine. Let's move on.
What have you done?
I liked someone last week actually said to me, Luke, forgot to ask you how you were. And it's becoming a regular occurrence now.
What
You never bother asking.
Anyway, let's crack on.
Yeah, exactly. No one needs to listen about what I've done. So, Austria.
Was it a good week, though?
It was a good week. It was all right. Yeah, it was all right. Enjoying the sun, working. I don't live a lavish life like you, jet setting to all different places.
It's not lavish.
No, not lavish. Laddish, though, innit?
Laddish, I suppose it is.
Yeah, laddish. So, Austria. Last week, you were very set against it. You were like, no, it's going to be boring. However,
I was well critical of it.
It massively didn't disappoint.
I flicked the race off and I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed the last hour and a half of my life.
I thought it was a good race.
I was fully expecting to be there just trying to keep my eyes open as my head's dropping off, because it was, unless you're because I don't know how to say this without sounding like a hypocrite, but obviously if you were a Max fan last season, the race was great because he just went off and won. But from a neutral fan perspective, those races when people do just go out miles and miles ahead and there's no real competition, it is boring. And that even happened when Hamilton would win by these huge margins. I liked it naturally because he was winning, but it wasn't entertaining. The only satisfaction you're getting is that, okay, you're getting a win. I would have rather him won having a big battle.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. And that's what I kind of like about this season. You're starting to see some battles up the front.
Yeah.
But before, TikTok fans and that start going at us, we know that actually, from a Lewis Hamilton point of view, yes, okay, we enjoyed it winning, but we knew that it can be quite boring. So we get it from the other hand, where if you're a Max Verstappen fan, you're enjoying him winning, but then from our aspect, it's quite boring.
Yeah,
so you're seeing it from the different aspects.
And what I'm saying is, even those fans have got to sit down and watch the race, and they must be thinking what is the point in watching this? When you just know he's going to win.
Can I just say, right? We posted a TikTok last night.
Oh, here we go.
And for the first time, we got no hate.
I don't believe it.
No, honestly.
I don't believe
Honestly.
Doesn't
put
happen.
it there.
What?
So this
What
was
was
the
it
one
on?
where I was given a fact about the tyre blankets for 2024. And a lot of the comments were like, oh, I didn't know that. That's quite interesting. Or giving their opinion on what they think was going to happen in races. No hate whatsoever.
See, if you're if you're a regular human being, like just a normal person, that's what you'll do. Engage, give your opinion, not be a bellend. and then we, look at the smiles on our faces.
It's so nice. It's so nice. I went to bed happy last night thinking, wow, we got no hate. I mean, I haven't been called a dickhead.
You had an argument with someone on Instagram about what was his argument? Some little toe rag was, I can't even remember.
This is the first time I've had a disagreement with someone on Instagram.
Matt gets rattled, right? So if you ever see at Racecast, Insta, TikTok clips, whatever, replying to someone, it's Matt. It's not me. Like I don't engage with people that like are just dropping these like stupid comments. But I did get involved on my personal account. At least that way I'm owning it. Do you know what I mean? What post was it?
Oh, I can't remember.
It was
It must have been a Lewis Hamilton fan because this guy's a massive Max Verstappen fan.
Yeah, no, he was oh yeah, so it was about when we were talking about George Russell getting out of the car.
Oh yeah.
So he was, firstly he spelled break wrong, that wound me up. So he said, so it's okay to break a rule when it's in favour of Mercedes but not Red Bull. And like they're quite, he's referring to Abu Dhabi, which apparently we always talk about.
In all honesty, we just mentioned it again. In all honesty,
Yeah, because he mentioned it.
all right, don't get so defensive. In all honesty, did I have a good argument? Did I argue well?
I mean the point is that like changing the rules to manipulate a race is one thing, but like bending them slightly to sort of because someone helps someone
Win a race, yeah.
But it's okay. Like I understand everyone has their opinions, and a lot of people thought, well, rules are rules. And I think we also, I sort of countered that point and said, you said about the cost cap,
Yeah.
rules are rules. So, rules are rules. George, in essence, shouldn't be allowed back in the race. But yeah, he started, he got really upset. He kept talking about Abu Dhabi, but kept saying we kept talking about Abu Dhabi when like he kept talking about it.
But we never mentioned Abu Dhabi.
And then, so like you were messaging him. So I just replied saying, speak for yourself. Lewis was robbed. And then someone replied saying he was speaking for himself, obviously thinking that I was replying to the other guy, which you were wrong. I was talking about Matt speaking for himself. Yeah, and then he just said, that's all we go on about, and we're Drive to Survive fans. It's so clear. I just find it funny. It is amusing.
So basically, I get messages from Luke, or Luke and I speak, and he was like, "I quite enjoy it." He said, "I quite enjoy it." Sometimes it does trigger me a bit.
You're like, fuck him, just block him. I was like, why would I block him? That would show that I care. Like,
yeah, no, I need to get more like that because you've been around this more. You have a bigger fan base than what I've had in the past.
you are always gonna have people trying to rattle you. And the thing, I don't even think he was trying to rattle us.
I think he was just trying to have a proper discussion, but I think he was.
I mean, I'm not sure if like that was not a proper discussion. That
it was kind of flawed from the beginning, to be fair.
Yeah, like stating his opinion is like one thing, but like insinuating that we think, well, basically that we're hypocrites.
And I love the fact that people think that we're just Drive to Survive fans. It's
Which, don't get me wrong, we are.
We are fans. I like the show. Yeah, I like the show.
But yeah, no, it's it's fine. But get involved because if you do want to engage with us, just type some like knobby little comment, and Matt will get rattled and he'll start replying.
No, after this, no more rattling.
And then when I see him get annoyed, I'll get involved because it's funny.
Right, let's move on with Austria. So Austrian Grand Prix, on a whole, very impressed. However, let's touch on a bit of news before we get on we discuss the race.
Yeah.
You like this segment?
I do like news.
So there was a series of accusations of sexism catcalling, inappropriate touching of female fans, and homophobic and racial abuse.
Yes.
It's really sad to see. And on a whole, the event was really positive. It looked like a great event. It looked like fans really enjoyed themselves.
And what I will say is the Orange Army make it look quality.
Fair play. It looks awesome.
They light up these
Have you
race
seen
tracks.
the footage of what you see from the track and what you actually see in the stand? You literally can't see anything.
Oh yeah, no, it's just smoke. It looks quality for us watching at home. I'm sure they were like, fuck's sake, can you just stop?
I can't see anything. Who's won?
It's choking.
The race is finished by the time they actually see anything. But no, on a whole, that's really disappointing. That's really disappointing that this type of behaviour is not acceptable anywhere. And Toto Wolff has come out and said fans are accused of harassment at the Austrian Grand Prix are brainless.
Didn't he say like basically if you are one of them, fuck off? And I think his quote actually was fuck off.
Yeah. Vettel has said they should be banned for life. But you go to any sporting event and for us, we have our opinions. On F1, we come here each week and we discuss our opinions. When you go to a Grand Prix, you go there to have fun. You go there to see, in essence, your idols. Your people like the Lewis Hamiltons, Max Verstappens. You go there to support your driver. But then you've got the minority of fans acting like this.
It's those idiots that drink and get consumed by like lads behaviour, and they can't hack it. They get so consumed by this sort of like boys being boys thing, they end up being like
twats,
knobheads. And then because I could guarantee 9 out of 10 of those fans, you take them out of that situation and put them on a street, they're probably like seemingly a pleasant person, but getting consumed by this sort of like culture, which is not even, because back in the day that was how people existed, and they're just stuck in their old ways. And it's sad to see, especially when you have we've only had like big events happen recently, like with the Nelson Piquet thing, and you'd think like something like that would get fans thinking, being like, oh, we're like, clearly, I mean, if you didn't already know, I don't know how stupid you've got to be to not already know. But that was big enough to be like, oh, clearly, people don't like that. That's wrong. Maybe I should change.
I just think people aren't learning.
No, they're not.
These type of events, any sporting events or any day-to-day, none of that is acceptable. Inappropriate touching of female fans. I mean, come on, what is going on?
By the way, that is honestly the weirdest behaviour in the world. Touching, creeping out women is beta bizarre behaviour.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
But what I will say is, I've seen a lot online about people saying, oh, this is what you get with Max Verstappen fans. And I think it's a bit below the belt to say, oh, this is only Max Verstappen fans, or they're like this because they're Max fans. Firstly, okay, it may well have been Max fans, but that doesn't really matter. These people were just idiots. I think who they're fans of is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because I'm sure there are people out there at F1 events that have these terrible behaviorisms that are fans of different people. But I know I saw a lot of Lewis and Merck fans trying to go below the belt and put a spin on it as if this is Max's fan base. This is how they behave.
But then, okay, doesn't that? Then I would go back to those people who are saying that and go, hang on, you're completely thinking about what the priority here. The priority isn't what fans who they're fans of.
Now they're looking at the rivalry.
Yeah, that's and then in my mind I would go, well, hang on, maybe you need to change your attitude because that's not what this is about. It doesn't matter if you're fans of Fernando Alonso, Max, Lewis. The actual biggest issue here is that you've got people inappropriate touching, racist behaviour, and homophobic behaviour. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Not the fact of who you support. I mean, it baffles me that people come out and go, oh yeah, it must be because of them. No, hang on. look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. Because if you're someone saying that, you're right. Like they're completely missing the point and not helping the matter whatsoever.
It's like they wanted to start this rivalry between Max and Lewis again. Is look at the bigger picture. It's people like you who we need to focus on more to change your opinions and look at what the big issue is.
Yeah,
not
like
just
call people out for their behaviour, not who their fans.
It's just, do you know what? It's just. So I put a real downer on the weekend, which actually was a really good weekend. The atmosphere, apart from that, looked brilliant.
Yeah.
The orange smoke looked great. The weather was great. Smoke. The weather was great. What we saw, we had a sprint race. Everything about it was brilliant, except that behaviour.
Yeah.
And I hope F1 make a real stance on this and ban those fans and make sure that actually we learn from this, whether that's through security or not.
They need to be granted. It's difficult, but if there's proof as well that they've done this, and I mean evidence. I'm not saying I disbelieve any of the claims, but what I'm about to say, it will make sense. But if there is they have evidence that this factually happened, they need to name these fans. But because that's the only way. The only way you're gonna deter people from doing this is by publicly shaming them.
Yeah.
Because absolutely no one, even these freaks that behave like this, none of them want to be caught. None of them want to be called out. And I promise you that would stop people. Why I say there has to be a CCTV clip or something is because, what we also don't want is the odd false accusation that may happen. And then someone gets publicly named and life ruined. And he's like, I didn't even do anything.
No, you need to.
But even so, accusations made against someone, they need to be banned.
They need to crack down on it. And it's a shame that this is still happening, because I just feel like we're still not learning from these. We're still not improving from these. And don't get me wrong, it's a small minority, but we're not learning and improving because we've still got idiots like this who are behaving week in, week out.
But I know it's a small minority, but there was a lot of claims. I saw the Twitter thread. There was so much. And a lot of it was... See, because it's interesting. You say the small minority, but so many of these accusations were sort of very public acts. It would be an individual doing something, but it would be quite obvious to the surrounding folk what is actually happening.
Yeah.
So if they're not calling the people around it, if they're not calling it out, they're part of the problem as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. No,
so,
that's a valid point.
So granted, it might have been a minority that was
what I mean is
offending.
Individuals offending.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. If people aren't standing up for it around them, are they part of the problem as well? That's interesting.
But yeah, for sure. And don't get that they're not as bad as the individual.
No.
But because some people just don't have the courage to say anything, which is that's fine. You can't be someone you're not.
Yeah.
But I would strongly encourage anyone, even if you're never going to an F1 event and you're just in a pub one night or a nightclub and you see someone do something that is just not on, just call them out.
This is bigger than just, F1. This is all sports, all day, day in, day out, life. This is what we should be doing. This is how we should be improving. None of this should still be happening. And it's sad, isn't it, as a country, as a world, that this is still happening day in, day out.
Yeah. Yeah, so, no, it is. But yeah, hopefully, they do take a stand and moving forward can take some baby steps at least.
Let us know what your thoughts were. Comment down below. In other news, Zach Brown, Ricciardo will stay with McLaren in 2023. He said, we're going to do whatever it takes for him. We know he can win us races, but all we ask of him is clear, that he drives at Lando's level. I'm not being funny. I'd find that a bit of an insult.
Yeah, and also unrealistic expectations.
Yep, very true. way I see that is they don't see him close to Lando's level, and they're saying that if he wants to continue, that's what he needs to achieve. If you're an experienced driver like Danny Rick, would you be a bit insulted with that? Or would you just be grateful that you're going to be in the sport in 2023?
It's difficult because I don't think it's meant to be insulting, but you would take offense to it naturally. But at the same time, like, there's truth in it.
Yeah.
Like, we've spoken about Danny Rick in depth, and he was, Red Bull's wonder kid, and sort of, came through like the Toro Rosso ranks, and then he just never hit the heights. What's he won? 7 Grand Prix? Is it 7 or 8?
I think it's more than that.
Is it? I don't think it is.
What do you want to bet?
I bet you that K-Mag mask.
K-Mag mask?
Yeah. You can take it home with you if you win. But
8.
I said 8. I said 7 or 8.
You said 7.
And you said no, it's more than that.
Yeah, well, it's more than 7.
But I said 8. But yeah. And now I think, he's at McLaren and he's simply just not, like, the pace is well off. The thing is, you can't even hide it when you're in the same car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's right. You do need to drive at Lando's level because that Lando is showing the potential of the car. Yeah. And I know we all say, like, drivers outperform cars or, they take them to the next level. Like, the performance is still there in the car. You can't make a car go faster than it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, clearly that car has the potential to compete with at least the Alpines, and which I think are the next.
I think they're quickest. The next battle, yeah.
But Danny Rick is often not competing with them.
No.
And he's not, a lot of the time, he's not even competing for points. So yeah, he does need to step up his game. I hope he does. I also saw reports today that he's considering retiring.
I don't think he will retire.
I don't know what there might be no truth in that, but that's all I've seen.
I think he wants to stay in the sport, and the fact that if he's going to stay in there 2023, I think he'd be delighted.
Well, the thing is, if you were in his position, right, you've got like you can go one of two ways. You're up against this young kid. Lando is young, very good, but like it should either spur you on to be like, right, obviously I'm better than this kid. I'm Danny Rick. I've been in the sport. I've won 8 Grand Prix. I'm gonna show them that I'm quicker than him. Or it goes the other way, and he's like, fuck, why does this cunt keep beating me?
I just don't think he has it in him now to beat Lando.
Yeah,
because I think Lando, if Danny Rick keeps getting better, for example, Lando will go, okay, I can go better.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Lando's at a very fortunate point in his life where it's a lot easier for him to get better and better because he's so young. Whereas Danny Rick, it becomes harder. And I know we've seen drivers, Fernando Alonso, who, to be honest, has not necessarily got better. But like he's stayed very consistent his whole career.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, who you would argue has got better and better. So it is definitely possible.
I just can't see it with
Sergio Perez.
Yeah. I just can't see it with Danny Rick. I just can't see it. I just can't see him ever beating Lando.
He's so far off the pace. Yeah. That's why I just can't see it ever happening.
No. Want some more news?
Yeah.
So Russell wants one race director as F1 debate reopens. So this weekend, if you don't know, there was a lot of track limits, 43 to be precise, in the Austrian Grand Prix. While 4 drivers were handed 5-second penalties, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen have criticised the rulings, but George Russell believes F1 should return to having one race director. So, guys, if you don't know, last year we had one race director. That was Michael Massey. Lovely guy. This year, it's now split from different race to race. We have different race directors. But George Russell is saying it's so inconsistent at the moment from a driver's aspect that they want just one race director back.
Well, yeah, and like I can understand it because both individuals are going to have their own opinions on. I know that there are rules in place, but like certain things are still executed at discretion of the race director. So if one race director thinks one thing and another thinks another, then it will get confusing.
But you're never going to get consistency, are you, with that?
No, I mean, I found it a bit strange when they did bring 2 in, because one of the biggest, like the biggest reason that Michael Massey was put out of a job was because of inconsistencies in his application of the rule. And
now we're bringing in other people, which makes it less consistent.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, they didn't fix the problem.
Do you know who I felt really sorry for on Sunday?
Go on.
The graphics guy. Because the amount of time they had to keep pressing that button for track limits, which kept popping up on the screen.
It was
track
insane.
limits, black and white flags, 5-second penalty.
When was the last? I don't remember a driver getting a penalty for track limits for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
I know, like we've had tracks, times deleted before and whatnot, but a penalty for going off the track, like
Lando got one, Gasly, Zhou. I mean,
and a lot of other people were very close.
Hamilton was close; he got black and white flagged.
Yeah. Verstappen
had a couple of warnings. I
Yeah,
don't think he got.
Sainz had 2 warnings. Leclerc had 2 warnings.
But it's kind of it just really baffled me. It was just like I've never seen anything like it. It was just literally relentless. Like
and I can't remember who it was saying it. It might have been Martin Brundle. But he made quite a good point in that, it's really hard for the drivers to actually see precisely where the line is, because they've got such big wheels now and they've got the little like wheel covers.
So you're never going to see it, are you?
So that's the thing.
So they either need to extend it out a bit, otherwise you're going to have the same issue next year. The track, I mean.
But you can say if they extend the track, the drivers are just going to use more track.
Yeah, true.
Like that's the thing. Or they just need to be a little bit more, I don't know, flexible.
Just don't allow track limits in that area.
Yeah, but see, then it gets complicated because you've got to have some sort of.
I kind of liked it in some sense because some people were getting 5-second penalties and it made it a bit more interesting.
It made it interesting for us, for sure, but oh my God, it must have been frustrating for the drivers.
Well, Carlos Sainz, did you hear his radio?
Yeah, he was
livid. I didn't go off.
Lewis,
he was like...
Even Lewis was getting wound up.
Yeah. He had no Bono this weekend.
Yeah, do we know why?
I don't know.
Bono was just at home, apparently.
Was he?
But
he was like, nah.
He was on the radio, apparently. Like, they were communicating with him from home.
I've heard the Orange Army's there. I don't want to go.
Yeah, scared.
So, but let us know what you think. I personally would like it to go back to one race director. I think it's so inconsistent at the moment.
What was it? I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but there was some news about Seb, because Seb's got fined for walking out of.
So he got fined.
Meeting.
Yeah, he got fined. I say fined. He doesn't have to pay it. It's up until the end of the season, something for 25,000 or something like that. He just apparently walked out. Apparently, there was a bit of a disagreement. I don't know any more than that.
So we haven't found out what it was about.
No.
Hopefully,
I say that I haven't looked, so it might be out there.
I mean, I've had a brief search and I couldn't find anything.
No. But it was a bit weird. There was fines everywhere. There was like fines everywhere this weekend, for some chatter on the grid beforehand. So some teams were talking a bit too much.
Lewis got a fine.
I mean, they're getting stricter, don't get me wrong. That's fine from that aspect. But it's making is that going to be every race? Because it seemed like all these rules literally just came to Austria and nothing's happened before.
Yeah, no, it was a strange weekend in that sense. But I do think it gave us a really entertaining race.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining from that aspect. It was made it interesting. But I can understand from a driver's point of view, it must be really frustrating.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, if you're getting fined left, right, and centre, they're probably like, what can we do?
Right, other news. Sebastian Vettel hints at F1 retirement and questions if Aston Martin plans is realistic. So he goes on to say, I don't want to fight for points, but for the victory. Otherwise, the fun is gone for me. In the coming weeks, in consultation with my family, I'll be clear about how realistic my goals are and about how much energy I still have to grow with the team.
Now, I don't know. This to me, this is a tricky one because sometimes, I think some weeks Seb comes out and I think like, yeah, you've still really got it.
Yeah.
And then other week he comes out and I think, nah.
But is that the team wise?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like this, I know he had a couple of collisions this weekend, didn't he?
We had one collision and he spun once. Yeah, he was in the gravel twice, I think.
He had a really poor weekend.
Yeah.
And I know when he got taken out. Was it Albon?
Yeah.
Albon took out 2 people this weekend.
He was having great fun, wasn't he?
But yeah, I just, he finished last.
Yeah.
And Stroll didn't actually do too bad. Finished 12th.
Yeah.
Say it didn't do too bad. I mean, it's not great, is it? But in comparison. But then, I really thought through the middle part of the season that we've had so far, I thought Seb was really starting to come through. You saw him at Baku.
Yeah, he looked
quality.
Good then, yeah.
Even though I know he ran off, but yeah, so I actually saw in regards to this like Ricciardo retiring next year, someone was saying that like McLaren would look to tap up Seb as his replacement.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why? Do you think it's time McLaren start looking?
I think McLaren needs to start looking for the younger talent.
Yeah.
Rather than going backwards. I think it's great for the likes of... So, okay, you look at it this way. So, Aston Martin got Seb because of his experience. They felt they could bring him in and he could, teach Stroll, really build that team into like a competitive car. It hasn't happened. Alonso, for example, Alpine got Alonso in because they was like, okay, his experience, so he can really build his car. That's starting to happen. He's had a lot of bad luck this year, but the car's quick. You look at Ocon this weekend, P5. That car, Alpine car, is looking better. So that works from that aspect. McLaren got Danny Rick in because of his experience. Hasn't worked. I don't think getting experienced drivers in is always the answer.
No, and I do agree with that, but comparing Danny Rick to Seb.
Oh no, I'm not.
Alonso is definitely more comparable to Seb in that
I'm
sense.
not comparing. What I mean is the experience within the sport, not before. Okay, you TikTok guys go.
That's just baiting himself.
Yeah, before you TikTok guys go to me, oh well, they're not competitive. Yeah, what I mean is from a length of time in the sport. That's what I mean.
Yeah. I don't know. When I saw it, I thought I would like to see Seb in a semi-competitive car again, because that Aston Martin. I mean, God knows what they've done since they switched from Racing Point to Aston Martin, but they've just got worse and worse.
Or where was it? Miami, they looked good, and then they turned to green Red Bull, and they went crap again.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's a strange team. But yeah, I'd actually enjoy Seb in a McLaren. Not gonna lie.
I would not dislike it. I just personally think
it's not the right step for McLaren.
It's not the right step for McLaren. Because I think they want to build for the future. They've invested a lot in Lando Norris. Do they want to be a team like, Red Bull and that, who just have a driver who's like a backup driver as such? Like Perez. We know Perez is a second driver. But do McLaren want to be like that? Or do they want to get someone in who can be competitive? and really take it to Lando, get those points, maximise those points, and fight for the constructors.
Yeah, but I mean, we spoke about, having a 1 and 2 and how sometimes it does benefit a team.
It does benefit if you know that your other driver will pick up those wins week in, week out.
Yeah, you need someone that is gonna. You need one person that is guaranteed to be competing.
Yeah.
And then another who is going to collect the points, maybe like a few places back.
Yeah. But with McLaren, their focus at the moment is to get on those podiums. So at the moment, they don't have that.
Yeah, but they are a long, long way away from that.
No, granted, but that's why I think they need someone young in to help continue to build that team.
But would someone like Seb, because I was reading this news article the other day. Yeah, that's right, I read the news. And it was like, apparently the long understanding has been that, it's 80% car, 20% driver or something like that. But they were actually saying like this, it was a full on like scientific like research project.
What, you actually read about some research?
Well, it was just a news article.
Christ.
They were saying that actually...
Did your brain hurt after?
Oh, it was really interesting. The biggest part is actually the driver and team communication.
Yeah.
Like that. So what the like 80-20 rule or 80-20 understanding did was like it failed to account how important the driver's communication with the team is, because that can extend as far as like even the driver reporting on how the car feels, so the team are able to make improvements in certain areas. So if you had someone like Seb, who is really, really, he's driven a championship winning car for 4 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
And then he drove that really good Ferrari. Someone that is like really experienced with driving these top cars. And he is someone that is very like dedicated to the sport.
Yeah.
And so someone like that who is really able to report back to the team on the car could help improve the car so much more.
Oh yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I would not be disappointed if I saw Seb in a McLaren. I would not be disappointed with that. What I'm saying is, okay, he went to Aston Martin
to do that
role. I wouldn't say it's paid off at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's not down to Seb, but I mean that's down to the team in general. But my other question to you would be, is Lando now at that stage where he knows what it takes to develop a car? He's been in the sport long enough. I would say he's experienced, and he's not experienced in winning and all of that stuff, but he knows what the car needs. He knows how to communicate with the team.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like Lando will be, but the more experience you have there, the better.
Yeah,
I think. And someone like Seb, who I think he's still got to have it in him. In my opinion, I think the reason we see more bad performances now is because he's got to drive that shitbox that I think is probably so demoralising. And I think if I was in his position, I would have taken a huge sign from the fact that Aston Martin came out and just more or less copied a design of another car.
Yeah.
That to me is a huge red flag. That's a team that's not innovating. They're not using their own mind to sort of come up with these concepts that are going to help push the team forward. They're just looking at what other people are doing.
It's a bit lazy, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And, we said an F1 car is not just, okay, that part's good from there, so we'll take that from that car, that from that car, and that from that car.
Yeah.
They work like a puzzle. You can't just take random pieces.
Yeah.
So, I'm not surprised that the car, and I know they probably changed other things as well, but they don't know the inner outer workings of that Red Bull.
No.
Like, no one does. Otherwise, every car would be as quick as it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Guys, let us know. What do you think? Do you think Seb will retire? Would you like to see him in a McLaren? Do you agree with Luke? Do you think actually that would be a good step by McLaren? Do you agree with me? You don't think it would be a good step? Let us know. Comment down below. finally, before we get onto the race, I know we haven't even spoken about the race properly yet.
It is coming.
I've got a fact for you.
Okay, I like these.
I'm going to actually bring a fact each week now about F1. How many parts is an F1 car made from?
Right, I feel like this needs to be multiple choice.
No multiple choice. Have a guess. So
So,
I found this quite interesting. I didn't realise.
okay, so like when we talk parts, is like a screw. Is that one part?
Yeah.
So how many like screws? Well, probably like 15,000.
Oh, so each Formula One car is made up around 14,500 individual components.
That was close, you know.
That's mad, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. So when you see these mechanics working, like, you know, someone bins it,
Yeah.
like Lewis and George this weekend, the mechanics must have been fuming.
I'd be fuming if I got there and go, "Oh, did you bring the screw? Oh, I left the screw back at the factory."
We've only got 14,499 pieces.
So you can drive, but you might lose a wheel.
That is a lot, isn't it?
That is. I found that really interesting.
I think what the most impressive part of that is you know that those mechanics will know every part.
Yeah. The mechanics are out. They're mental. How their knowledge is brilliant.
Underrated.
So let us know. Did you know that? Did you know that each Formula One car is made up around 14,500 individual components? Let me know. Comment down below.
Why would you know that? Why would anyone know that?
I think that's mental.
But how do the teams know that? Do they like lay them all out on the floor and count them?
Well, have you? No, I've seen in the factories in the past. It's literally laid out. They have like boxes of everything that they need. It's so organised. It's mad. Hence why these are, you know, the best in the world. And this is why, you know, what they did with Hamilton's car this weekend, the way they turned that around was just. And what we've seen in the past, how they turn cars around. Look at who completely smashed up their car. You remember Haas that time in this year in Saudi Arabia? They were so close, weren't they, to getting him out?
Mick.
Yeah, Mick in qualifying.
Yeah.
They were so close to getting him out in the race, but there was just too much damage. But
His
remember,
car was actually snapped in half as well.
but do you remember Perez, Red Bull? Was it last season? He had a bad crash. They managed to get him out in time for qualifying or something.
No, they do some mad stuff.
They're fair play to you all. Fair
I
play.
don't even know where they start as well. Like when that car comes in, I'd just be there like, no chance.
Do you think it's something like looking at like a Lego piece? You know, like you get those big, you know. Like,
Yeah, it's like looking at a Lego piece that has been like smashed up with a hammer.
Yeah, right. This looks interesting. So where do we start?
The stress of that job. I don't know how they do it.
I have real admiration for those guys because it is impressive. It is very impressive. So should we talk about the race? Well, let's actually talk about the race weekend. So practice, obviously we had a sprint race this weekend. Practice pretty much was dominated by Max and Charles. Qualifying. So this was interesting for me because it was all going quite well. Both Aston Martins again went out in Q1. It seems to be a regular occurrence now.
Yeah, it does. I don't understand it because I know they started the season terribly.
Yeah.
But that, like I was saying, that middle part of the season that we've had so far,
It was improving.
yeah, I really thought like, oh, they're making strides here, and now it's all just they've gone backwards.
Yeah. I was quite happy. Things restored back to a bit of normality this weekend, which I'm happy about after Silverstone last weekend. Nicholas Latifi went out in Q1, so I feel like things are normalising itself now.
Although he wasn't last.
No, Seb was.
Yeah, so you know, Latifi is on the up.
No. Danny Rick went out in Q1 as well.
Yeah, that was. I don't know. That was bad, wasn't it?
It was.
But then, you know, I know Lando then went out in Q2 in P15. So
Yeah. Alex Albon, shout out to you. P11.
yeah.
Did all right. Sergio Perez ended up being 13th because he had track limits deleted. There was, again, with consistency this weekend, there was some drivers who, for example, Carlos Sainz, he got his
Right. They were deleting lap times instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. And then this Perez one, like, somehow
Got left till after the race.
Yeah, I didn't understand it, really, because who qualified P11?
Gasly.
So, that took away the opportunity from Gasly to then try and get a good time in Q3.
Well, Perez said after he was a bit annoyed because he was like, "Oh, if I knew that, then I would have saved some
exactly.
tyres. I wouldn't have pushed so hard."
It is equally as annoying for him because, like now he's gone and given everything in Q3 only for it to all be taken away when I think I'm pretty sure we could all see that he had.
Oh, he was massively over.
Yeah, which we said all the drivers did that this weekend, so it's expected. But I couldn't understand why it wasn't picked up.
But everyone else's was.
Everyone else's was.
Carlos Sainz literally didn't even cross the finish line. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, so that was a strange one.
There was again, it goes back down to consistency, and it was quite a lack of consistency on qualifying day. Max Verstappen got pole, closely followed by Leclerc and Sainz. I mean, there wasn't much in it at all. George Russell 4th, Ocon 5th, but we have to talk about the Mercedes because both of those spun out in Q3. Hamilton went out first, caused a red flag, and it looked like a nasty crash in the end.
Yeah, what do you think they got a bit? I think this is my opinion, my uneducated.
Hang on,
opinion.
we're not allowed opinions on here.
This is my opinion. I think they got a bit confident.
Well, from what they were saying, they were on course for potentially a top 3.
Yeah, I mean, although the race pace wasn't great this weekend, I think they got a bit confident in that car. Pushed it. I don't think they pushed it too hard. I think they were sort of easing into it after the car. They've both said this car is really, really tricky to drive.
Yeah.
And I think after Silverstone, where it was a bit nicer, I think they got a little bit confident, and the car just bit back at them.
Yeah.
And
a gust of wind.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. But but no, and I mean it was almost. I know it sounds weird, but it was almost nice to see that they were actually pushing.
Yeah.
I think this was the first time you really saw them push that car to the limit. And granted it backfired.
So sorry. Go on.
But yeah, that's just my opinion basically.
So red flag for Hamilton crash. They start again. A lap later, George crashes.
So what's George's engineer's name?
I can't remember.
I saw it was like a meme where it was like his engineer was like, Lewis has just crashed, and then George says, copy that. And then it says George copies that. It's just him in the wall.
So he went out, and then Max got pole and heading into the sprint race. The sprint race, I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite entertaining. The thing that got me was the Ferrari situation, because we discussed last week on the podcast that Ferrari need to be stronger in their decision making. Basically, what happened in this race, if you don't know what happened in the sprint race, Sainz and Leclerc battled each other, allowing Max just to pull away.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, nothing was learned from last week. George ended up finishing 4th. I'd say the DRS train was in full force this weekend. It was in full force because
the DRS train has been a little bit infuriating at times this season.
Massive shout out to Haas. Their straight line speed looks ridiculous.
That car was a cheat code.
It was impressive.
And fair play to, I mean, I know we'll get on to Mick Schumacher, but fair play in particular to Mick Schumacher.
Yeah. Because he was really frustrated because he was basically in a DRS train with Magnussen. He said afterwards that he felt like he was a quicker car and should have been let go. And the reason why he ended up getting into that battle with Lewis is because he was just being pushed back.
Well, yeah, and then because he was having to race Lewis, it then gave K-Mag a bit of a gap. Mick then lost the DRS,
and
then Lewis was able to overtake him. So I can understand that frustration.
Yeah.
The team, but then would it have been the same? Sorry, hay fever. Would it have been the same difference? If if they had swapped Mick and K-Mag, would Lewis have then just overtaken Magnussen? And
Yeah,
then
I don't...
probably overtaken Mick. Whereas like this sort of worked out better for Haas because they had someone in between, and because K-Mag was a little further ahead, Lewis, and it was like lap 21 anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't far off, was it? But no, I thought Haas looked good all weekend.
Yeah, really good.
The biggest winners in the sprint race, do you know who was the biggest winner? Penny's going to drop in a second. I can see you thinking.
Perez.
Yeah. P13 to P4. P3, actually. P5, sorry.
Got there
P5.
in the end.
Yeah, he ended up P5. But he had a great start. Some of his moves were superb this weekend until race day.
Yeah, and actually what we should talk about is at the beginning of the sprint race, Lewis got hit.
Battered by Gasly.
Now, I actually saw a lot of people compare this to the one last week, Gasly and Zhou.
Yeah.
And George, obviously. But like this was, in my opinion, it was different because people blamed Gasly last week, and I think we were right to blame Gasly last week because it was Gasly coming from behind, going into that gap, whereas it was different this week because Lewis was in front because he started in front on the grid, got a pretty bad start. His starts have been pretty bad in this new Mercedes, I've got to say. But he was sort of already there in the middle, and then Gasly came across him. I think that was the difference.
Well, he got sandwiched, didn't he? Because he had someone on the outside.
Yeah.
It looked like a nasty crash, and it was lucky there was no damage to either of the cars.
Yeah, no.
That's quite easy to get a puncture or, damage axles there. Like, it was...
Yeah.
It looked a nasty...
Oh, I was just watching it, and I was just like, for fuck's sake.
Gasly's in a lot more crashes now than he has been.
Yeah, Gasly is... I mean, to be honest, the Alpha Tauris are... I was expecting a lot more from them this season.
Me too, yeah. Considering they're, the sister team of Red Bull, I was expecting them to be quite competitive.
Yeah, at least
we're not seeing that.
Because, I mean, right now, they're not even looking like a solid midfield team.
No.
But yeah, that was... and again, it was just one of those things where the cars are all so congested at the start.
And it closes in, doesn't it, up to the top? Once you get to the top of turn one, it closes in. So you want to be on that left-hand side.
Then Lewis got sandwiched again, as they were approaching turn 3.
Yeah, it was a tough start for Lewis.
That was in the race, wasn't it?
That was in the race. Yeah. Should we talk about the race?
Yeah.
So great start by Max.
Yeah. His starts are flawless.
However, if you look at the stats, Leclerc had a... Oh, no, it was
Sainz that had the really good start, was it
not? Turn 4, Russell, Perez collide. I mean, this is a second year in a row Perez has been hit there. What was your thoughts on that?
It's the third year in a row that a Red Bull has been hit there.
Yeah, because it was Albon, wasn't it, before?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that? I can see why George got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, what we're actually going to do right now, right, is I found a little video. It was on Twitter, and it was from this website called Reddit. It's just this little forum thing.
Is it new?
I think it's quite new, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Where basically... Oh my God, I can't stop coughing. Where basically it's Alonso's view of that crash. Now, at the time of watching, I was very much like, I mean, what the hell could George do? He was like, he'd hit the apex, and then was obviously coming off it. But then they showed replays. Perez was ahead. I still thought, there wasn't a lot George could do other than just hit the brakes.
He was on the curb though, wasn't he, and going into that turn?
Yeah.
So he was as far over as he could go, in theory.
Okay, right now, we're going to put this video up. So if you are watching, hopefully you can see it. If you're not, it is a view, like I said, from, I believe it's Alonso. It could be Ocon, but it's one of the Alpines. And it does look like George's fault from this angle.
I'm pretty sure it will be Ocon because...
Oh,
Alonso was at
from
the back of the grid.
Yeah. So it's
Unless
off
he
on.
had a really good start.
So look, just watch that. And whether George, whether he didn't have grip on the curb or something, you'll see what I mean.
You see him.
He comes out.
Yeah, that is George's fault.
But what I did also see is that apparently Red Bull told Perez not to do anything on that corner. They had said to him specifically, do not overtake at turn 4. And on the first lap, he does it, and it ruins his race.
He was aggressive all weekend, wasn't he? You look in the sprint race, he was making some mad moves.
Yeah, but I guess because he had got that penalty,
he was more, he wanted to get up there.
he had to push on to sort of close, to gain the places back. Yeah. I did feel a little bit bad for Perez, but I mean at the time, but yeah, and it was definitely George's fault.
It was George's fault,
in my opinion.
So I think it was just before lap 14, the Ferraris just came into their own. There was a lot of degradation on Red Bull's tyres.
What the hell happened to that Red Bull?
I don't know. They just completely went off, didn't they?
That was... I mean, that was incredible. It was incredible how slow it became in comparison to the Ferrari.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So once Leclerc overtook Max then pitted on lap 14 to go on to hards. In my opinion, at the time, I was thinking, well, this is way too early, because I think the time for the pit stop to go on hards was about lap 24 to 27. Yeah. But they brought him in for hard tyres.
But he was just losing so much time. I don't think they had any alternative.
Oh, it was a bold move. And actually, it almost paid off towards the end.
Because when Leclerc got on fresh tyres and he was shaving off 1.1 second a lap.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
But this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Some races, Ferrari have no answers to the Red Bull. This race, Red Bull had no answers to the Ferrari, because they could come into pit and they were 4 seconds behind, and within 3 laps, they were literally right behind, overtaking Max.
I did not understand it, because when Max had gone onto the fresh tyres and he had reduced the time to where they would have come out 4 seconds behind, I was like, oh, here you go, he's done it again, he's gonna win. And then they came out and both of them were so quick. I mean, Leclerc in particular was really quick.
Yeah. So Ferrari were at this point 19 seconds away from Max after the pit stop. By lap 23, Max started to come into it and they got down to about 16 seconds. So for a pit stop for this weekend, it was about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So
if you're Lewis Hamilton, about 25.
Yeah, it depends on what they want to do on a day. But from a Max point of view, they knew that they were going to come out in front. Ferrari knew that they lost enough time, but they were that confident that they could bring them in, and they still had the pace to actually chase after Max when they come after the pit stop. I like the fact that they went to Carlos Sainz, right, we're on plan E.
How
do you get to plan E?
How do they remember that many plans?
Plan E, yeah.
What? I'd be like, what one's that again? They'd be like, we can't say it on the radio. I'd be like, honestly, guys, we can't do that one. I don't know what it is.
I know F. I could do F.
Can we do that? They're just like, no, it doesn't work.
It just made plan E, copy. I was just like, what the hell? They're already, and it was only lap 20 that they were on plan E.
As if they haven't got enough to think about as well.
But this is why F1 drivers are incredible.
When then, you see, I mean, it is quite insane. And then you see Alonso wagging his finger at Tsunoda as he's approaching,
I love that.
turn 4.
Have you seen Tsunoda's Instagram story?
Yeah, it's just got that
saluting him, yeah.
And then, you got Lewis at the end of the race talking about how he was watching Max and Charles's battle.
Yeah, on the TV
on the screen. So how have you got time to think about anything else other than racing?
I like the fact that Mercedes team engineer who was for Lewis this weekend was giving him information, and Lewis was like, that's way too much information, I have no idea what you're on about, and he was like, copy.
I bet it must have been strange for Lewis, because Bono's been with him since McLaren, hasn't he?
I love Bono. He's a legend in himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's a legend in himself. Other things to talk, there was a great battle, and it was between, who was it? Alonso, Magnussen, Zhou, Norris and Schumacher on lap 25. Do you remember when the 5 cars were literally just
Was that the one that
3 down the straight.
Alonso was involved in? Did you say Alonso there?
I did say Alonso, yeah.
Because I swear Alonso was like in the strongest position. Then all of a sudden he was like the back of that lot.
It was 5 cars just battling, and it was amazing to see. It looked
approaching turn 3. I think they had that angle like where they were looking down on it.
So from turn 1 to 2 was amazing because they were. It was just constantly changing. Then down to 3 was just brilliant.
Was so good.
Yeah, this is why I definitely think racing has improved this year with these cars.
100%. I just wish the gap
at the
between the front 2 teams was reduced a little bit.
No, I agree with you. So let's talk about lap 58. Carlos Sainz.
Man, just as he was about to make the overtake as well.
Down from 2 to 3, he was about to... DRS was open, about to overtake Max, and his engine went. And I'd be honest, that was nasty. Did you see...
I was... My anxiety levels were going through the roof when the flames started coming out. He kept rolling backwards.
Yeah, he couldn't get out of the car.
No, yeah, I was like panicking.
But did you see, like, the engine was just blowing up and blowing the side pods off? Not all off before you go, oh, well, the side pods were still there. But it was just crackling inside.
It didn't look good.
No.
I'm not going to lie. And, we've spoken about, in particular, Ferrari reliability issues, because they have had a real... the reliability has probably ruined Charles's chance of winning. I mean, he'd be clear, in my opinion, right now in the championship.
I think after this weekend, they're getting back into it. I think there's a chance. We're not even halfway through.
Then they've had an engine blow up.
Yeah. And from a constructor's point of view, it was a massive blow.
Yeah. But I mean, also, like, I think if your cars are just blowing up, and this isn't, it's not just a one-off. And even if it was a one-off, you'd be like, oh shit, why's that happened? But it's not.
No.
Like, okay, maybe not as dramatic as this, but they've had too many issues.
Yeah.
This season, and Red Bull have as well, to be honest, but it normally seems to be Perez's car.
Yeah. Max has had it in Australia. He retired. He's had his issues. But what was quite interesting with this is, so after Carlos Sainz retired, virtual safety car came out, and have you seen that video of that steward when they take them? It's like a meme now. When you want to go home early, he brings over the fire extinguisher, puts it on the floor, and runs off again.
What? His car?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll send you the video. I don't know. I think he was going off to get other stuff to bring back. So he was doing his job, but it clips up so well that actually he pops it over and he's like, yeah, after that, I'm off now.
Because I saw Sainz has actually come out and said, like, I was pretty shocked at how slow they were to react.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think I don't like bashing the marshals or whatever, because, we all know they do like their best, and they're all volunteers anyway, aren't they?
No, not all of them.
But a lot of them are volunteers, are they not? But I personally did agree. Watching it felt, I don't know whether because it was so dramatic, but I did feel like it was a long time before anything happened. You could visibly see that he couldn't get out of the car. It kept rolling back. Needed someone to go and stop it. And, flames were coming out of the side. I just thought that the reaction was a little slow.
Yeah.
And we were probably like 5 seconds away from watching him get cooked alive in that car.
It went up quick, didn't it? It was nasty. It was proper nasty. But luckily he was okay. So from virtual safety car, the front 2, another team's pitted. So beforehand, Lewis had gone onto the mediums, but the front 2 came in. They pitted, and I was thinking, okay, it's going to be quite an easy win now for Leclerc, who would just go out, finish the job. But then he had issues with his car. Do you know what the issues were?
Well, his throttle.
Yeah. So basically, he couldn't release. So normally, when you release, it goes back to 0%, but he could only release like 30%.
Yeah, wasn't he having to like pull it back with his foot?
Yeah, it was like
which is again that is. I know we just spoke about like Lewis watching TV and Alonso wagging the finger. That's pretty insane.
Yeah,
like having to control the throttle up and down.
But then he did, because the gap was about 4 seconds at the time from Leclerc to Max. And Max did shave a bit of time off, but Leclerc still managed that car brilliantly to bring it home. So fair play to him. That was...
But I liked it. It gave us excitement in the last 10 laps or something.
I won't tell you what I sent. I sent you a message and I saying I'd be really disappointed if something happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I think most people watching that would have, other than Max fans, but Charles had raced a really good race.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for him that he's finally got that win. He was really disappointed after Silverstone. And actually, Ferrari, fair play to you. Your strategy was on point this weekend. Maybe not in sprint race, but on race day, really impressed with it.
Yeah, they just need to be a bit firmer with the drivers, I think.
Yeah. But no, on a whole, I thought it was a very good race. Another podium, 3 in a row now for Lewis Hamilton. George did a brilliant, drive to come back to P4 after his penalty. He was right at the back of the grid. He came back to P4.
Let's change his wing as well.
Yeah. A massive shout out, right, to Ocon. P5.
Quality race. And, Ocon, Alonso finished P7?
Yeah. Mick,
he started from the back.
Mick as well.
Started from the pits, didn't he?
No, he was on the back
Was that
of the grid.
sprint race?
That was Bottas, who started from the...
Oh, okay. But sprint race, I swear he started
he
from
started from back. Yeah, from pits, yeah. But no, and Ocon, superb race. Mick Schumacher, again, points, brilliant race. Beat, K-Mag, but apparently K-Mag had issues. He was nursing throughout the race. So
I mean, Mick had a great weekend. I mean, you can say K-Mag had issues, but Mick was quicker than him in the sprint.
Are we starting to see Mick coming into his own? Is he?
Well, Mick overtook Lewis.
Yeah.
I thought Mick had such a good weekend.
Yeah.
And I was glad that he got driver of the day.
Last 2 weekends he's been superb.
Yeah. So, keep it up, because I don't think we gave him necessarily a hard time earlier on.
We just said that he needed to improve if he wanted to keep his seat, and I don't think that was.
And I think
fair.
He's now racing. Look, we understand he's in a Haas, so it's not always that easy. But I think now he's racing to the sort of potential that we all expected from him.
I saw one question: do we think that Mick Schumacher is showing enough quality now to one day earn his seat in Ferrari?
No.
No,
not yet. I mean, he's had 2 good races.
Yeah,
I know he's had a few throughout the season, but no. He needs to race like this for the rest of the season. He needs to consistently get points in a Haas that maybe is not good enough to always get points.
Yeah.
He needs to consistently be getting these P10s, P9s, that picking up points. And then I think we'll see him lining up that Ferrari move.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you with that one. It's only a question I saw on Twitter, so I was like, I'll ask a question. But no, on a whole, race-wise, really impressed this weekend.
Yeah,
it was nice.
Did you think Mick deserved driver of the day over Alonso?
I think it was close. Either of those would have been deserved.
Because they were my 2 drivers.
I would have even said someone like Ocon. I thought he was phenomenal. To kind of take that home to P5, he was consistent all weekend. But hey, no,
but that car, that Alpine is quick, and I know it was a good drive from him, but he didn't really. Where did he start?
Well, he started 5th.
Yeah,
so he finished 5th.
So okay, so as you know, Alonso brought it from the back of the grid.
You could say George after lap 1.
Yeah,
to come back to P4. There's multiple drivers who deserved a shout out this weekend.
And I was glad it was Mick.
Yeah. Oh no, me too. I think he deserved
especially after his little battle with Verstappen last week as well.
Yeah. Lewis this week.
Yeah. He's raced against the 2 best drivers on the grid.
Yeah. No, he fully deserved it.
And given them a hard time.
Yeah. No, I agree. Shall we get on to... Well, we've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. Wow. Amazing what you can talk about. Shall we get on to fan questions?
Yeah, cool.
Let us know what your thoughts were on the race. Comment down below. If you're watching or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then go onto our social medias and let us know what you thought of the race.
And make sure you give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Just
On a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed this weekend. Is it me asking you this week?
yeah, let me just pull them up. I am disappointed there's no race this weekend.
No.
But France,
this weekend of like the 22nd or 24th, something like that.
big Mercedes upgrade packages incoming.
Oh, no, Luke, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
I'm just saying. And the flexi floors, I believe they were meant to bring the, like, I don't know what to call it because there is a rule in place anyway. But apparently, they're
We discussed last week.
yeah, they're ending this flexi floor
Yeah.
thing. Apparently, it's now not happening in France.
Flexi floor.
But although I saw Max saying, I don't know why Mercedes are complaining, they have the most flexible floor. I don't know how we'd know that, but that was,
Inspector Max.
yeah, that is something that I did see. Right. Anyway, pull up the.
We'll be
question.
previewing France next week.
Yeah.
So, and stay tuned for next week because it's a chance that Luke could have 1 month of his mortgage paid for.
Yeah.
Actually-
One day I'm not gonna check.
Please don't check.
I'm
Come
not
on
gonna
now.
check.
It is fine.
What I will say also is the competition winner is going to be announced. You know what? I'm going to announce it today, which you're watching. So as in not today that I'm recording, today that you're watching. So Wednesday
7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
There you go. So, right. Where should we go? Connor.Aspe, Perez out of the title fight, question mark?
Yeah, it's more than likely now, yeah. Yeah, because I think also over the last couple of races, I just think he seemed I don't know, he came through at Silverstone, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he came P2.
So, yeah, I don't know. No, I just think it typically looks on race day between Max and Charles.
I wouldn't say Perez is out of the title fight because I still think he has it in him to get points. But I think I'm very much like you. I think now it's either going to be Max or Charles. My money's still on Max. I can't see.
I'm still rooting for Lewis.
Yeah, well, he won't win the title. I can't see him winning the title. But it's good to see that we're starting to see Mercedes back in that fight, which is good.
Yeah, kind of in that fight.
Kind of in that fight.
I mean,
They're making waves.
As Mercedes fans, we're lucky that Red Bull and Ferrari keep having some sort of issue.
Yeah. Alfie_Knight.16. This is an interesting question. Should Sainz commit to a second driver role to support Leclerc to try and get him a world championship?
No. Personally, I wouldn't. Not at this stage. I know it's complicated because Charles has consistently shown that he's quicker than Sainz. But yeah, I think to do it at this stage would be, I don't know, because I have then just said that Perez is out of the title race and he's further ahead. But I also don't think Perez should just commit to a second driver role.
No.
I think you got to push. I mean, at least until I wouldn't commit to anything until I'm mathematically out of the race, out of the championship race.
Yeah. But look, Sainz was on for P2 this weekend. It's only reliability issues that is causing him to not finish.
Yeah.
He was there for P2. Don't get me wrong, granted, earlier in this year, he was crashing, he was going off, granted. But he's been, after the last few races, he started to look better.
That's the thing. It would be interesting to see where Sainz would be in the championship had he have not had that rocky start to the season.
Yeah. No, if I was Carlos Sainz, I would not commit to a second driver role. He did not go to Ferrari to be a second driver role.
No.
Where's the question? Sari said, do you think Mick would beat Magnussen by the end of the season?
I think people underestimate K-Mag.
Yeah.
I think it's easy, like when you look at a Haas driver, Do you know what I mean? You think, oh, well, they drive for Haas. You know, and he's an experienced driver. He's not like someone that's young like Mick, where it's like, well, he drives for Haas because he needs somewhere to start.
Yeah.
But K-Mag is quick. But
That Haas is quick.
That Haas is so quick on a straight line. I think Mick definitely has the potential to be able to. He really just needs to keep grinding, keep his focus, and just perform like he did this weekend.
I agree with you. Kerr date. Right, this is an interesting one. You're going to have to think. What conspiracy theories do you predict for Drive to Survive from this championship so far?
Oh my God.
That's a good question.
That is a... well, I mean, I bet if Lewis overtakes George in the championship, it'll be something like, oh, Mercedes like turned down George's engine just so Lewis would win or something. There'll be something like that.
Seb's gone to Haas, to Gunter, and told him, look, you either really make K-Mag's car shit.
Why would Seb do that?
Because he's like pro Mick, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is. I don't know what conspiracies there would be. But what I am excited to see is we've heard but not seen a lot of handbagging with the different regulations.
Yeah.
Like teams are breaching this rule, and you know where we've had the stuff with the porpoising, the flexi floors. I'm sure there's been other stuff going on that we don't know about. There was all the shit with the side pods at the start.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see like the inner outer workings of that. Hopefully they've caught it. I mean, if it's anything like that last episode of the last season, where all they showed us was everything we had already seen anyway.
Nothing was it?
Then, you know...
I'd like to see a bit more of like behind the scenes from the FIA when they're making those decisions.
Yeah.
I think that would be quite interesting to see.
I want it to be a bit more in depth.
Yeah. Finally, I read an article yesterday that, and I want to get your guys' opinions on this, is so Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, so far has been a very respectful, let me rephrase this again. So far this season, Leclerc and Max championship battle has been very respectful.
Yes.
You know, they're very complimentary of each other, very nice about each other, all of this stuff. Do you like that?
No.
Or would you prefer it to be like a proper rivalry like we had last year?
I want them to have no endangerment. I want them to have a collision at like a high pressure point where it sort of kicks the kindness out of the pair of them.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be one of those crashes where they're like, it was his fault, and the other one's like, no, it was his fault. Not one where he's like, oh yeah, I went to his like motorhome and said sorry. Like, no, it needs to get really feisty. And
you want to see Schumacher going down to the garage where David Coulthard and start, you know, literally being held back because he wants to literally like
yeah. No, you know, that's the rivalry we live for. I'm not about this like friendly, you know.
You see more rivalry at the moment between Sainz and Leclerc than you do actually.
I was actually going to say that. And it's true, you do. And, you know, they need to understand that their beef is not with each other. I don't think they have beef. I think like
their battle is with Red Bull.
Yeah. They need to not don't be friendly with the opponent. Max is not your friend. And, you know, similarly with Max, Charles is not your friend. I want to see it. No, I don't want to see it get nasty like the Lewis Max thing. I think that, you know, it was really entertaining, but it got nasty.
But you want to see a bit of rivalry.
Yeah,
you want to see a bit like, okay, I didn't agree with Max. You know, Max or Charles made the mistake there. Yeah.
I want to just. I don't want there to be that really like this nicey.
No.
Like, oh, you know, we're just karting friends.
Yeah.
Sort of attitude that's happening at the
Or
moment.
that footage of Charles Leclerc. It's just an instant.
Yeah, like just get mean.
Get mean. Guys, let us know. Comment down below what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching this and listening. Hopefully you did enjoy the episode. Get in touch, get involved. We'll do another giveaway soon. But remember, if you're listening just after 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, the winner will be announced. So stay tuned for that. Luke, have a good week.
Yep, you too.
And we shall see you next week where we'll be previewing France. No race weekend this weekend. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm quite busy this weekend, so it's not so bad.
That's all right. Have a good week. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.